Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
What's up, guys? Alright, let's go. Alright, what is up, guys? Welcome. Yo, Max G Godzilla said under pressure. Yo, what's up, Puppet Master? What's up? Alright.
Wait, Godzilla's in the chat, mate?
Yeah, he is. He's in the chat. Oh god. My computer is glitching out. So goofy. Alright, let's begin.
Alright, I'm waiting for you to join the server, mate. Give me a second, I need to...
I got a bag of chips again, so my dad doesn't take them. Remember?
What? What about your chips, bro? Give me some, bro. I'm hungry.
I got sea salt flavored Smiths. Are those your favorite?
Yeah?
Dang, these are your favorite, bro? I got your favorite chips in my hand, bro. I got...
Bro, what do you think of it, bro? Wait, is it from Kettle? The Kettle company?
Oh no, it's Smiths.
Smiths? Bro, I thought you got Kettle!
Bro, it's Smiths. It's sea salt Smiths, bro.
Bro, no. Kettle has the best sea salt chips, bro.
Bro, my dad bought 2 whole bags of these. Okay?
Bro, ask him to buy Kettle, bro. Kettle's better. Or Brimstone, I don't know. Bro, Roblox has to update at the most goofy time, bro.
Okay.
Where's my...
Limbo, I'm asking right now. Yo, what? Co-pilot?
Wait, I have a donut in the rift in duels. I can give you, or I can give you or Spacey. Yo. No. I'm joining. I'm gonna join. Pro really quickly. Where's Pro? I need the donut. I need it.
Kettle chip slaps. Okay. Well,
Where's Pro?
why does it have the OBS logo in here? Keep. Turn off.
I'm going to doors, bro. I'll join you later, bro. I need to get a donut.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Pro has the rarest item in the game. I'm gonna go get it real quick.
Bro, are you that down bad for a badge indoors, bro?
Bro, he has it too, bro. He's giving me it. What? That's generous or something? I didn't get it last time because stupid Rift generation is so bond. Okay, where is he? There he is.
All right.
I'm gonna make what's in stores today? Oh, I already own these. I don't need these. Yeah, come on, bro. It's taking forever to make an elevator. Come on. Okay, 2 friends only. Go. Okay, I'll join you as fast as I can. I just need to get a donut.
I have to read all the chat. Wait, how do I join again? I forgot. Bro, I have joins on, bro. Just go to my profile and click join.
Someone in the chat said kettle chip slaps, bro. That's so true.
I literally just read that. Okay. Like earlier. I have a donut in the rift. Okay. Limbo, I'm asking real quick. Wait, I think I remember.
Give me the donut. Give me the donut, please. I need it. It's my donut, boy. It's not yours. Yo, he has it. Give me it. Give me it, please. Yo, I got the donut. Yo, finally, dude.
So you got the badge?
Let me eat it. I got it. I got the badge. Let's finally go.
Bro, you had to ask. Oh my god, you had to ask someone from my stream to do it, man.
Bro, no, he asked me if he wanted to, if I wanted the badge.
Bro, he asked both of us. He said like you were Spacey real quick. Bro, he asked both of us. Dinge. But anyways, I'm not getting the badge though, cause I don't feel like it. So you get it instead.
Wait, where are you? 50 players? Okay, I'm coming over there.
Alright.
Zia's here too. Bro, Godzilla, where are you at, man?
Bro, he's doing that emote again.
Dude, oh my god, bro. What are these goofy emotes, bro?
Bro,
Roblox, fix your game, bro. I'm just kidding.
bro, people are gonna think you spent Bobucks on your Kroner because of how much you have.
Wait, no, my bag of chips fell. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
No, nothing. I didn't say anything.
Bro, you fell.
I said I was saying no, my bag of chips fell. No. That happened to you once when I was calling you, mate. Your chips fell.
It's not my fault.
It's gravity. Gravity, mate.
They just fell for no reason. Bro, I'm one sub away from my original sub goal. I'm a kind soul. Alright, nice.
Oh, you need 18. You need 11 more subs till you get to your sub goal, which is 570.
No, but I mean my original sub goal, 560s. I'm one away from my original one. So
Bro, someone in the chat, bro, look what someone said in the chat. The King of Pumpkin. That is crazy. Bro, come on, Godzilla, bro, join up.
Oh, Godzilla, I got your Doritos. Come get your Doritos. No, I'm kidding. Bro, Godzilla, join up, bro. I got your Doritos. I'm kidding. I don't have his Doritos.
What do you mean? I have Doritos.
You can hear me crunching on chips, can you?
Lad, of course I can, bro. Bro, that means I can't hear Angler anymore.
Crunching on chips, bro. Yo, what's up, Lauren Reed? By the way, I did legal no clip to get that donut. I didn't use key. What? You used no clip? What?
I still got the badge though, bro. Rarest badge in the game, I think.
Didn't they change that a bit ago?
What? What did they change?
The We Die in the Dark badge. Yo, we have 8 watching. Yo, thank you guys.
Even the 3,000 data badge. Walking database.
Guys, Pressure in 2 days. Who's excited? Like the new subfloor?
Bro, what do you mean, bro? It doesn't even say it.
This guy said Pressure in 2 days. Does he mean the subfloor? Is it coming out in 2 days?
Bro, they didn't even say that it's coming out, bro. What do you mean? Bro, I'm really excited for your Q&A tomorrow, bro. It's gonna be so funny.
Bro, we need more questions. We need more questions, chat. Bro, we don't have enough questions.
A lot of questions. Wait.
Why
does businessman keep leaving and joining? Is he crashing out or something?
No,
computer crash?
Probably his internet, I don't know. Yes, pressure update, Operation Heartburn, very coolness, what? Bro. You saying Operation Heartburn reminds me of what Seth said yesterday, and it kind of traumatizes me.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, what did he say?
My friend,
Operation Heartburn?
my friend Seth yesterday, my friend Seth yesterday said he was gonna get a stick, put some molten lava on the end of the stick, and shove it up someone's butt.
What? Bro!
Yep.
Operation Heartburn.
I don't know why, but that just reminds me of what he said yesterday. Bro, it's 2 people in the submarine, bro. Yo, what just happened? Yo, we just gained a sub. Yo, thank you. AKA GD Cube just subscribed. Yo, thank you. Yo, we're at our sub goal, our original one.
Bro, Ziao said just ask your stream chat if they want to ask questions. Bro, come on, Godzilla, bro. Join up, bro. You're literally online, bro. I can literally see your status on Steam. Bro, Pro has to go now, bro. What are these time zones, mate?
So he probably lives in America or Canada.
Bro, in Australia servers? Oh no, we're not in Australia servers.
Do we have enough people, or do we need more?
Wait for like a minute.
Okay. Yo, what's up, AKA Cube GD? I sub, by the way. Yo, thank you. Your name popped up on stream too. Yo, thank you, bro.
One more. I think. No, wait. Wait, did you get?
Wait.
Yo, you reached 560.
Thank you, chat.
Bro, why does Godzilla have to do science homework now, bro?
Yeah. Just ask your stream chat. Oh yeah, chat. I'm doing a Q&A. Go to my community post and comment on my recent post a question you want me to answer. There are 20 comments, but only like 8 of them are actual questions, and the rest of them is probably just someone yapping. So yeah. Alright.
Oh crap, bro! Why do they keep going in, bro?
Bro, you remember when I was streaming and my dad came in and took my bag of chips?
Yeah, why?
I don't know, he just came in and said, "Excuse me," and then just took my bag of chips and then just left.
Well, was it, bro? Was it funny or was it just goofy?
I don't know, my dad's sometimes goofy. Fine, I'll say my channel name in here.
Yo, we got more people. Look at this. We got some more.
Yeah, yo, look at that crowd. Nah, we gotta go in after this. Nah, we gotta go in. We gotta go in, bro. Alright, yo, let's go! Yo, Monument Steak Enjoyer, I'll be back. Alright, nice. Wait, what just happened?
Bro, Monument Steak Enjoyer. Bro, Monument. Wait, did I ask a question in your community post about which monster you hate indoors and pressure? Wait,
yo, V1 joined.
Yo, wait, you got 20 questions in your community in your post.
No, no, not 20. Only 8 of them are actual questions, and 12 of them are just Ziao.
Apparently Ziao was being goofy. He answered the questions, dude.
Bro, answering the questions is my job, man. Not yours. Why don't you do a Q&A on your own channel, Ziao, bro? Oh, well, not enough time. Oh, well, 16! Alright, let's see if it don't crash out. Okay. Alright.
Bro, I'm definitely gonna die first round, bro.
Indoors giggle is the cute. What?
Bro, what do you mean Giggle is cute, bro? Bro, why do people keep saying that monsters are cute or not? Except for deep sea bunnies.
Oh wait, you weren't lying, bro. I was not lying. I'm actually live, bro. Why do people say that I'm lying? Well, not everyone. Just like a certain person always says I'm lying. Well, not always actually. But I'm not lying, bro. I'm actually live.
Bro, come on, bro. I'm averaging 200, bro. It's gonna be so delayed.
Unauthorized personnel.
Bro, I hate being on that type of ping, bro.
Interact any further with console.
Bro, that means opening drawers and going into lockers is gonna be so delayed. We're so cooked.
Giggle sound like my brother? What? Your brother?
Bro,
Do you have like
what
a
do you
little
mean it
brother
sounds
or
like your
something?
brother?
I think maybe he has a little brother, you know? The thing is, in my family, I'm the younger sibling.
And yet your brother still acts goofy.
My brother's 18. Yeah. I see your stream, yo! Yo!
Bro, why are people using sprints, bro? Stop sprinting.
Bro, I remember someone asked me about my channel, and I recorded they asked me to record a vid for them and post. Oh no.
Give me this. Give me this.
I don't have a locker! Let's hope it's not from the front, cause... No! No! There's not enough lockers! Place more, Urban Shade! Dang it, Bro, it's so goofy, they kinda need more lockers. I guess, I don't know. Wait, they revived me? Yo, thank you!
I told them to.
Oh my god, yo. Bro, thank you, bro.
Oh, it's a locked room. Wait, what?
Wait, they're
Oh.
reviving someone else, yo. Garfield?
Bro.
Someone named their bunny
but
Garfield?
But defib needs to get an upgrade because for some reason you can't use it when you die to chain smoker, which is buns. Bro,
I think the reason why is because you get teleported when you get hit by Chainsmoker. So wait,
I am definitely so cooked, bro. There's not enough lockers everywhere.
so when you
Also,
get bathrooms! Oh, that is so much smoother, bro. I don't know why, but every time I plug in my laptop, it starts running way smoother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding, like, I was just on, like, I was getting tiny lag spikes, but then I plugged my laptop in, and boom, it's so much smoother, bro. Bro, look how smooth this is, man!
Bro, when you unplug your laptop, it starts glitching out. Like, I don't know how the hell that happens.
I think that's just how it's designed. Wait, I think I know why. Wait, I think I know why.
Oh, never mind. Bro, why does the door not make a sound anymore, bro? This is so buns.
Bro, no.
Bro, stop calling Graham. Bro, stop calling Graham Glam, bro. It's not Glam, it's Graham.
Yeah, bro. I think I know why my laptop starts running smoother when I plug it in. I think it's because the GPU runs slower than usual to save battery, but when I plug it in... Oh.
Hide. Side room.
Come on, get me to the side room right now, bro. Infestation, you are not stopping me. Wait, this guy got the money system for bread system working? Oh.
Bro, stupid infestation, bro. Wait, where's the door? Where's the door? Oh. Oh, password. Oh, okay.
Were you trying to sing Funky Town?
No?
Or it sounded like...
Wait, how do you know that? How do you know that song?
Everyone knows that song, bro.
Bro, it only has 30 million. It only has 30 million views, bro.
No, I'm pretty sure that's the lyric video. The official video probably has more. I don't know. Bro, I hear people singing that song in primary school.
No, I admit the other door.
Bro, why do people keep running into fake doors, bro? Because
Honest-
goofy, I guess.
Honestly, though, if I die, that means I'll be able to eat my chips. You know.
To advertise too.
Oh yeah, I'll be able to advertise.
No, my locker.
Bro, a side room, bro.
Bro, I don't want to go into the side room, bro. I'll just take the locker. Why not?
So you can annoy people?
No, so I can be in first place.
You want to be in
Open.
first place? This ain't a race, man. This is pressure. You gotta survive, not get to the end first. You gotta do the mission for Urban Shade, if you know what I'm saying. They got their black
No, I don't care about urban. I don't care about Urban Shade, bro.
Yeah, they're kind of selfish, not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're selfish as heck. I don't care about them.
No, the in-game Urban Shade is selfish, but the real-life Urban Shade is actually nice, you know what I mean?
And yeah, he's using sprints again.
That's fake, that's fake. That's definitely fake,
Open.
bro. That's definitely fake.
It's actually,
That's actually fake. I only saw like one light flicker. Hey, open it!
oh, it's real!
What? How? I only saw like one light flicker! Oh my god, that's Bonds!
Oh my god, bro! I didn't see the lights flicker until you said the lights flickered.
How is that real? I saw like one light flicker! Here's another question. If you get...
They're bringing you...
What? They're reminding me again? How many defibs do y'all have? Yo, thank you, bros. Oh,
Bro,
firewall.
I'm gonna do the firewall. I'm doing the firewall, definitely. I'm doing it.
Chat, Spacey's been practicing the firewall, and he's even more cracked at the firewall than your grandpa is at Fortnite.
Yeah. Bro, your grandpa, bro, if your grandpa plays Fortnite, tell him to 1v1 me in the firewall.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Alright, chat.
Hell?
We're gonna watch Spacey cook, alright? We're gonna see him do his stuff.
No. It's the ping is too high. I'm probably cooked.
I don't think so.
Look at that. Wait, are you taking a break?
Yeah,
Oh, alright, spectate me.
I am. Like, literally right now. Yo, he's emoting! He's a Fortnite player. No, I'm kidding. Wait, the first contestant to make it through the jet suit course wins immunity?
Bro, what do you mean immunity, bro? Bro, someone even said it in the chat.
Under normal circumstances, a firewall is activated to encourage contestants to
Oh, good.
course. However, given your current situation, the firewall will be turned off to help
Yeah, I am gonna cook. Unless I got the stupid black screen bug.
If you got hacked on your computer and could track down the hacker and find him, what would you do to him? I will tie him up to a chair and slap him across the face like as many times as I could. Cause I'll drive him insane. I don't know, man. I'll just tie him up to a chair and just slap him. I don't know, man.
What the hell?
Actually, if I could track down the hacker, I'll get my channel back and expose him. That's what I'll do. I wouldn't slap him across the face, because I'm pretty sure that's assault, man. I'll probably get in trouble.
No! Bro! I went onto the platform. That should have let me up.
Bro.
I'm definitely cooked. Wait, yo, I skipped the fan. What? Bro, now everyone's in front of me. Go away. Wait, no! Bro, what the hell, dude? Kidding me? I went into the thing. You saw that, right? I went onto it.
Yeah. What if
Okay,
that
come on,
hacker
dash,
was...
yes.
What if that hacker was Spacey?
Bro, I'm not a hacker, dude. Why
No,
do you
he-
keep calling me a hacker? I'm not. Bro, how did that guy
Well-
make it all the way to the end so quickly? Oh.
No, someone's asking me if someone hacked my account and if I could track down the hacker, what would I do to the hacker? And he said, what if that hacker was you? Like, what if, you
I'm not a
know?
hacker, mate.
No, we know you're not a hacker, but I'm in the break room, yo. Oh yeah, I didn't do the firewall.
Whoa, what the hell?
Oh, this room.
I'm definitely cooked. I'm all the way behind.
Bro, what
I'm
do you mean
definitely
you're all the way
cooked.
behind? We're in a locked
I'm
room.
cooked.
We're in a locked room, bro. We're taking forever, man. What the?
Well, the door just got unlocked, mate. Oh,
Oh
never mind,
no,
no,
they're
no, that was the
unlocking it.
That was the firewall.
Oh, they unlocked it. Okay. Bro, I got revived twice. Yeah.
I managed to make it past while taking
Oh,
with 70
come
with 70
on.
health.
Not this room, bro.
Oh my god! There was no time to get to the locker!
Because there was no time to get the lockers. Look how big this room is. I can't get through the whole room in 2 seconds, bro.
What do you mean, bro? I did nothing, bro! Oh, it's a front, Angela. It's a front! It's a front! It's a front!
Wait, this has to be safe. This has to be a safe spot, man. Come on,
Get
please.
in the locker! Oh my goodness.
Spacey, please tell me this is a safe spot, bro.
I don't know! I don't know where you are!
I'm at the edge of the room. Yeah. Nobody was a safe spot, yo. Oh man.
Oh my god, I got everything from this guy who died.
I'm actually so glad that was a safe spot, bro.
Bro, oh yeah, actually.
That was a safe spot, bro.
That's not for pandemonium though, cause open.
No.
Bro, where's the door? Oh.
Apparently there's a sea bunny skin that can protect you from pandemonium.
No way.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
There's
Did you
no
not?
way.
I got a safe spot.
It's a front. It's a front. Give me the locker. Oh my goodness, dude. I really hate this room.
No, but I saw a no data video saying that there's a sea bunny skin that you can crouch and hide in. Like you can you can cover your head and pandemonium like won't detect you.
Oh, Sebastian.
Okay. Oh, dude, I can't see.
Give me the sprint.
I cannot see crap, bro.
Wait, don't go in the don't go in the grass. Follow the path if you can't see.
I know. I'm following the. I can't even see the path, bro. I'm trying my best. Oh, please, bro.
Oh, I made it out of the oxygen gardens.
Oh no, I'm not even out there, bro. I'm still.
Ooh, I found a hand crank. Let's go. I got a hand crank.
Hand crank, bro. I got a. Oh, there's Sebastian's shop. Okay.
Oh, you guys got time. You guys got time. It's in maintenance. It's one of those rooms where you have to do find the thing to turn off the power.
Finally, I'm out. Oh yes. I can't revive. It's Jover. You can't revive. Why? Oh, probably not. No Robux.
What do you mean? What do you mean it's Joe Ever? It's not Joe Ever.
No, Jover. It's a joke, man. There's a joke. Oh, okay. Jover. Now there was a time, when you loved me so.
Outskirts.
I can't see my path in endless. Wait, what?
Picky! Picky! Oh!
Come on, man. That was too late. Bro, I was gonna run.
No way, bro.
I should have went forwards, man. No, hey, at least I get to eat my chips.
Bro, you should have saw that, dude. I saw Pinky, and then I went to the safe spot last second. Oh, dang it, you died, bro. Come on.
Bro.
I have to do this by myself now.
Bro, what do you mean yourself? You got that guy next to you.
Bro, no, he's eating the cheeseburger. Look at his head, bro. Look at him. He's eating a cheeseburger right now.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I'm just kidding. He's not eating a cheeseburger. He wears a
Yo,
cheeseburger.
experience Roblox changed his profile picture. Nice.
Bro, I kind of love the locked room. I kind of love these locked rooms in the outskirts.
Pickle Jerry, what?
Open it! Bro, stupid ping, bro. This dude. Oh, it's not safe. Oh, it's blitz.
Yo, we got
I've
12
never
watching.
gotten an angler in this room before. Oh yeah, by the way, this is actually where you would enter the outskirts from. This room right here.
Ow.
Dun, 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 dun. Your stream is delayed, by the way, bro. It's for every streamer, bro. How does no one know that stream delays for everybody, even me? Bro, when I stream, I get stream delays, bro. Bro, you know what Pro said once? Oh, there was a black light. You know what Pro said once?
Whoa.
That my stream delays is much better than yours, apparently.
What do you mean, bro? My delay's only like 10 seconds now because I changed it. Yo, not safe.
I forgot who said it. I think it's either
Not
I think
safe.
it's Pro or Danish I don't know.
I never knew. How'd you not know that, bro? Is this evil mode 2.0? What do you mean? Oh, nope. I just thought about the name Pickle Jerry for some reason.
Oh, it's Chainsmoker. Alright.
I was about to say Pandy.
I guess I'm going forward then.
What? Nah, that's the worst.
I'm gonna outrun Chain. Open. Oh, safe spot. Yes. Give me here. Oh, I am the king. Please don't come this way, please. Oh, I survived.
You stink! You're the king! No, I'm the king!
Yeah, they got time. Oh
no.
Chain.
Lauren Reed, what the hell? Yo. Oh, yeah. Guys, if you ask about stream delay again, yeah, no, it's kind of... It is kind of getting annoying, because how do y'all not know what stream delay is?
And plus, how do you guys... also, by the way, how can you guys... What's the problem with stream delays if you're not even on the call with us right now? Bro, how did these guys make it forward to us so quickly? Oh, Candle Brute. Wait, wrong way, wrong way! Oh, go, 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 go. Oh my god. I almost got hit by the candle bearer. Open. Go, 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 go. Oh, it's a red void mask. Oh my goodness.
I think a lot about strange things. Oh, yeah. Same with me, bro.
Boy suckers! Oh my god, boy suckered everybody. You saw that?
Yeah, you're not the only one who thinks of strange things, okay?
Oh yeah, by the way, you know the main drinks from Duels?
Yeah.
Apparently they're in Harry Potter, apparently.
Yeah, they are. How do you not know that?
No, I knew that a long time ago. I'm just telling you now because I think it's cool. Apparently it's a real plant too, but it's in European magic it's dangerous.
This chip look like that, bro? It looks like a piece of cheese.
It's probably because of oxygen. Probably because of the bag. I don't know.
Yo, Painter's going live too. Yo, Painter, want to collab? No, I'm kidding.
Bro, we are not collabing with Painter after what he did to us.
True. In fact, Painter's probably canceled.
He's canceled. Oh my god. Bro, oh my god. No. Oh, I dodged the bullets except for one of them. Ah, take that, Painter.
I swear those tarts have aimbot though.
Yeah, they do. It's called the automatic turret. Open. Oh, there's a sprint over there, bro. I'm not taking that. Okay, better not be Panday, dude. Telling you
Bro,
right
there's
now.
a safe spot right there. Oh yeah.
Oh my god. How did I not die?
Cause it's a safe spot, bro.
Bro, no, Anglo was too close.
Bro, I've done that before, bro. You haven't? Wait. Did you hear about the guy who got shot this morning? No? What?
Oh yeah, Charlie Kirk. I don't want to talk about that.
What?
Why you guys keep bringing up political stuff, bro? Like, it's actually getting annoying. Oh, I found a locker! Oh my goodness. I thought it was cooked.
But I think Graham does. I've not heard about that, but that sounds crazy.
No, they're talking about this guy that you see in the shorts, like that talks about political stuff.
Oh, okay.
His name is Charlie Kirk or something. I don't know. Yeah, Charlie, I think.
Charlie Kirk? Okay.
Yeah, he basically roasts people who argue about something different than him. They believe in something different that he does not, so he just roasts them. Yeah, he got killed today.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he got killed. He was
No.
shot.
Dang.
And worse, it was a sniper. It was literally, it was a sniper.
The sniper, bro. Did bro headshot snipe him, bro?
No, almost. They shot him right in his neck.
Oh.
Not only that, but it was also captured on video. You could literally
What?
see the blood everywhere.
So it's some John Wick type stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically like John Wick. But by the way, this actually happened, bro. It happened just I think yesterday or something. I don't know.
Do you think it's gonna be on the news tonight?
It's already on the news. It's everywhere.
Oh. I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
they first tried to shoot Trump and now they just killed Charlie. Like, that is crazy. The most craziest thing that's ever happened. But I don't want to talk about it because it's political, so I'm not bringing that up.
Okay.
But yeah, he got shot today, which is kind of disappointing. Well, even though I'm not even in America.
Oh, America.
Seriously, there's fake news everywhere. Look at this.
That's fake.
Yeah, I heard breathing. What about this one?
That's fake.
That's fake. Wait, did we find the door?
Spacey, what do you
Where is-
think pressure is all
Oh.
about?
Wait, what was that?
Someone asked in the chat what you think pressure is all about.
In my words, I think it's all about selfishness and probably evilness, I think. To me.
Guys, I think Roblox made us forget what they did by their updates, really.
Wait, what the hell?
Oh, I can hear the angler! Oh, that's almost the angler across the
Oh, yeah,
bridge.
fun fact, I think this happened to you before, but basically if that angler on the side spawns, it will stop your revive countdown.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Bro, you're mentioning the schlep situation, bro. What? No. My money system, what?
Wait, is that where the door is? Oh no, it's the other side.
Roblox, fix your damn CEO. Bro.
Bro, they can't. Because he's the CEO.
Yeah. I accidentally deleted my money system from my game. That took 3 hours to make. Bruh, no.
Wait, did Voss just flicker? Oh, never mind. But now they did.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Oh my god.
Get in! Oh my god! It was a front angle, bro. I was so lucky. Yeah, but I'm all the way behind now. So yeah. Wait, tell me if they're in a locked room. Oh, Frogger. Okay, I got a locker. Hurry up! Give me this.
Bro.
The good news is that Frogger's much faster when she comes by. For the final time. So I got more time. Yo, someone just died! Yo, give me all their stuff!
11 watching right now, cool, alright. Oh wait, never mind, I got it back. Alright, that's good, that's really good.
Oh, chain smoker, wait, open! I need a locker. Actually, I think I can outrun him, wait. How close is he?
Wait.
Get in! Get in! Oh my god!
I hear Graham munching on some chips, bro. You couldn't hear that?
Yeah, I can hear Graham munching on some chippies right now.
There's no way my crunching noise is that loud, bro. Am I gonna become that one friend where every time he's on a VC, him crunching on chips is the loudest thing you hear?
Oh, I'm gonna wait.
How are you doing?
Let's go. Open it! Open it! Come on! Open it! Bro, why does it always do that, bro? Why is the room generation so so pingy, bro? Oh, bye,
Yo,
suckers.
Awakened just started playing Roblox. Yo, Mahir, you better join us next round, bro.
Wait, Mahir?
Yep, he's online right now. My Discord overlay said Mahir just started playing Roblox. Okay, I hear it too, bro. Y'all can hear me crunching on chips, bro? Well, I hope it's not annoying for you guys, because, you know. Bro, it's me crunching on...
Bro, people don't even pronounce it right. It's not later suckers, it's why suckers, mate. I'm going over. Bro, shake it off, bro. God.
Bro, what do you mean my stream delay is not 10 seconds, bro? OBS says my delay is 10 seconds. Bro, OBS says my delay is 10 seconds, bro. What are you waffling about?
Yeah, I'm cooked, definitely. He's coming this way.
I hear Graham
Get in!
Dawson
Oh my
punching
god!
on chips. All I hear, bro. What? Is everyone just calling out me punching on chips on stream, bro? Like what?
Graham, why are you eating chips on stream?
Cause they're delicious.
Bro, you should eat popcorn next on stream, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure we have a packet of popcorn. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a popcorn maker at my apartment. Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah, I've seen that video. That popcorn maker looks so cool.
You put like popcorn kernels in it, and it turns into popcorn. Although it's really hot though. It's very dangerous. Kind of
Yeah,
dangerous.
of course, it's popcorn, bro. What do you expect?
Bro, what do you mean? What do I expect, bro?
Bro, I've eaten popcorn I've eaten very hot popcorn in my life, bro. It's the most delicious thing I've ever had.
Oh guys, you know I'm in Think Noodles video? You're in Think Noodles video? Are you sure?
Bro, why are you flexing it, bro? We don't need to know. Bro, what if one day that I'm in this, I'm in the video one day and I tell everyone about it, bro? They're gonna start laughing at me.
Oh, he's
Because
got
they're
the
gonna think I'm
power
a doof. Bro, what do you mean? I got the last one.
Yeah, I just said you got the last one, bro.
Wait, what? Wait, did someone else get the last one? Hope not. I should be getting the last one, not him. Bro, open it. I'm in. You know what? I'm just gonna let the Voltus see me. Come on. Come on! Get past them! Oh, roasted! I can literally hear a cannon exploding through your mic.
Bro.
Open it! Ooh. Bro, do you see how smooth that was, dude? Give me the open this.
Streaming YouTuber would be like, oh, what?
Yes, dude. Dude, we actually did it, bro. I don't even think we actually do it.
Wait.
Bye, suckers!
I hope Think Noodles is really a YouTuber. He is, bro. Think Noodles is a YouTuber, bro.
Bro, he used to make videos out of Skibidi Toilet.
Spacio's gonna give you tips
I think
on
he
how.
stopped doing it though. I don't know. This is good, bro. You know FGTV is still brain rotted.
Bro, they play Steal a Brain right now on their streams.
No, I'm not talking about still a brain rot. I mean how they speak on the video now.
Yeah.
They use Skibidi and Riz. They use those words now in their video. Bro, the OG FGTV was fire, dude. I loved it.
I know.
Just go back to the OG for FGTV for God's sake, bro.
Bro.
They used to play Granny on that stuff, bro. Granny, that was a peak video. The first video that I've watched from FGTV was when they were playing Hello Neighbor or something. That was a long time ago. I'm going to 50 players, lad.
The hell you mean FGTV is brain rot now? Bro, they kind of are, I guess.
Bro, they are brain rotted. Look at their videos.
Alright, give me a sec. I'm gonna go wash my hands, because you know why.
Bro, what do you mean FGTV is not brain rotted, bro? They literally say skibbity in their video, bro. They even said it when they were playing the mines indoors. Bro, everyone join up 50 players, bro. Join up, bro. Join up, bro. Everyone join up, bro.
Another thing is during the admin war of Grow a Garden, I saw FGTV live streaming on Steal a Brain Rot once.
Yeah, how much views did he get again?
They were averaging around 2,000 viewers.
What? That is crazy.
Yeah, but I was kind of expecting more though, because they have 20 million subs, bro. They should be getting more than 2,000, I guess. I mean, the only reason why I expected more is because Creekcraft live streams and he averages like 10,000, but he has way less subscribers. You know, he has like 14 million, and FGTV has 20 million. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, maybe we should stop talking about FGTV and all that. Let's get back into the game, guys.
Bro, your throat is literally sore from eating chips.
Well, what do you mean? Okay, now I see why. G's calm down, Space. What?
Bro, you told me that they were not brain rotted, bro. They actually are, bro. Check their videos.
I totally don't have caps lock on.
Bro, what do you mean, bro? You use that for every stream, bro, in case we do pressure.
No, I usually hold shift.
Actually, no, I can't be talking. I use that as well. I can't be talking.
No, but every stream I've been holding down shift to type in capitals.
Oh wait, let me try that right now. Oh yeah, bro, I don't use the shift key when I want to type in caps. It's kind of mid.
You
I
don't?
use cap locks. Cap locks is easier. Bro, I know sometimes you can forget that it's on, but how do you forget it's on, bro? You literally just saw it earlier.
No, but on my caps lock key, I have a light that turns on every time it's on. So yeah.
My one's green. I think your one is like white. Is it white?
Bro, stop telling me to shush, man. This person in game keeps telling me to shush. He's like, shh.
Bro, you are not Shaquille O'Neal, boy.
Shaquille O'Neal.
I call him Shaquille. What the hell's that yelling, mate, in the background?
Sebastian.
What? I
Okay,
can't hear
Limbo.
him say that. What the heck?
Okay, Limbo, I know strats for beating RM. I got 21 wins now. What? Oh, Residence Massacre. That's what you mean by RM, right? Bro. The thing is, though, I'm probably not gonna play Residence Massacre, but,
Bro, it's
actually,
so hard, bro. They need to nerf it.
subs, what? I'm still trying to get to 1K before the end of the year. And I did some thinking, and I have to gain about 100 subs every month just to get there, so, and if I'm consistent enough, I might actually make there. Who knows? What do you mean, where are y'all? We're up 50 players! I wanna see, like, unless it's like his first time playing, then yeah.
Bro, who's using VC to yab, bro? I'm using VC.
Wait, we got a whole crowd here? Yo, we need just like a tiny bit more people, I guess. Maybe like 2 or 3 people more. I'm gonna use a crowbar for Gmod. Oh, the crowbar. You remember the crowbar from Hello Neighbor?
Oh yeah, I've actually played Hello Neighbor before.
Wait, he subbed? Yo, thanks, man. No way.
The crowbar.
I got your key, I got your key. You can't catch me, you can't catch me. I got your key, I got your key.
Bro, someone said that we should go now. Bro, just wait a little more.
I'm losing
bro,
battery.
Then charge it, bro. Charge it. Charge it.
Yo, we just gained a sub. Yo,
your
thank you guys. Charge your device. ... Alright. Okay, should we actually go now? Yeah, let's actually go. Get in! Everyone!
Bro, I wanna see you do that get in thing again. That one clip. I wanna see you do it again.
Yo, wait, we got about 20 people. Oh, 2 more! Bro, get in, people, bro. We can
Get
have
in.
20.
Bro, get it. Wait, 8. Well, yo, 20! 20! Bro, ZL, get in, bro. Stop cooking rice, bro.
Wait.
22
people, let's go! Bro, get back in, Zia! Tax evasion! Get your goofy in! Get your goofy in! Get your
Tax evasion, that's a...
Get your goofy in, bruh! Get your goofy in! Bro, oh my god! Did y'all want to get in or not, bro? Okay,
Bro, either in or out, ZL, bro, and you chose out, bro. That's your fault.
Bro. Oh my god, bro.
Bro, that is actually so buns, bro. You know what? I'm gonna buy a flash beacon so I can flash Alpha Station because of the.
You want to flash eye for station? What, is this game too easy for you?
Station.
Is this game too easy for you?
No, just kidding. No. I'm not flashing Alpha Station, bro.
Oh yeah, is this game too easy for you? Yo, Red Apple, what's up? I was about to join.
Man, why'd you suddenly kiss me, bro? Why'd you kiss me?
I did not, totally. Hey. Okay!
Hey, I'm moving.
I'm eating rice, I can't play. Is that why you didn't get it? Okay.
Bro, just play while you eat, bro. Why you can't? That's so easy.
Stand back from the hatch.
I mean,
Actually,
yeah.
no, I don't think that's good, bro. I'll get all over the laptop, I think.
Oh yeah, true. But to be fair, I did eat chips while playing, but I don't know. They're chips, not rice.
I think the oil from the chips will get onto your keyboard, which is kind of gross.
Nope, I didn't get any oil on my keyboard.
Oh, okay. Bro, why? Bro, how I pressed that first, bro. How do you get that first?
No one is gonna go evil mode, yeah, unless we somehow get everyone to cooperate, which is difficult as heck, cause, yo, we just gained another sub! Yo, thank you guys. Alright, 8 more subs till the sub goal. What should we do for the sub goal, is what I'm wondering.
Oh crap.
I need a safe spot right now. Side room? Side room? Nope. Wait, give me those lockers. Give me in. Yes! Oh, I'm good. My plates cover 50% of my laptop. Oh, wait, you put your plates on top of your laptop? That's why you don't play at the same time?
Wait, someone just died, bro.
I mean, to be fair, maybe your desk space isn't that big. My desk space isn't very hard to type. Oh, okay. My desk space.
Outskirts already, bro. We got outskirts.
Oh, nice. Alright, that's actually good. This isn't a rare.
Bro, it's too dark though. I can't see.
Is this a rare room type or no?
Kind of.
Probably not.
No, it's not. It's not rare. Well, in the hunted, it's very obvious. It's guaranteed. Bro, you know what? I love this room type because it has so much safe spots everywhere.
Did the lights flicker or no?
I don't even know. No, lights didn't flicker, no.
Bro.
Oh, now it did, now the lights flickered.
Okay, I'm in the vent. Is the vent safe?
Here, stay here.
Okay, I really hope I'm safe right now.
Yeah, it's real.
Wow, he sounded really close.
Okay, the door's open.
Okay, wait. Yes, very little space on my table. Okay. I have very little space on my table too.
Bro,
So-
I use my bed as the table.
Use your bed as
Or
a
the
table?
ground. I don't eat on my bed. I don't eat on my bed, bro. I just take my laptop to the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Bro, who would eat on their bed? Like seriously.
Well,
That's just gross.
I mean, I've eaten ice cream before on my bed.
I hope it didn't melt, Graham.
No, it didn't melt. I didn't get any stains on my blankets, I promise. Because if I did, I would have freaked out, okay?
Spacey, after I make bread sim, want me to make you a game? I mean, I don't know. It's your choice.
Yo, Red Apple, bro. He sent that emoji.
Get up!
Oh my
Get
God.
up, bro!
I hate that,
Let
man.
me up, bro! My goodness, dude.
No, I didn't want to get in. I wanted to play unorthodox accounting because I like evading taxes. You love evading taxes? What?
Bro, what? Where's the door? Oh.
Bro, I went upstairs even though it's downstairs. Oh, lantern. Give me that.
Come on, bro. Yeah, we're definitely cooked. I'm so far behind.
Oh, okay. I'm probably far behind too. Wait, no, I'm at...
Yeah, we're cooked.
Wait, no. I have a safe spot. There's safe spots right here. Oh, never mind. It's a dark room, I think. Oh, wait, no. It's a vent
No,
room.
it's a vent.
It's a vent room. I got a lantern.
Get in. Bro, you don't need a lantern, bro. I can still see.
Yeah, but it lights it up, bro. Look how bright it is.
Bro, that mask you're wearing looks like Daft Punk. Oh, hide. Get back in the vent. Get back in the vent.
Please. 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 Please.
No! No!
Bro, he's not right
this guy
there.
had a
God
defib. He even had a defib. Come on, bro.
Bro, goddamn.
Oh yeah, by the way, I just saw that video that you told me about.
Did you watch the goddamn short, bro? That's where I got it from.
Yeah, I just watched it and it's so funny.
Did you lock
on the home security system? Yes, I did. Did you hide the knives? God damn!
Drinking a cup of milk? Oh, nice. Milk is so good for some reason.
God damn!
Don't get me wrong, milk is actually pretty good, not gonna lie. Oh.
Bro, come on, flicker the lights already, mate. I got safe spots everywhere.
Nah, the lights are gonna flicker when we don't have a single safe spot, bro.
Oh, never mind, it's the end.
Lopey, bro, got Lopey. No.
Bro, oh, hide. Go back in the thing.
If it's Panday, we're actually good. Never mind, it's just Angler. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Angler is a little cheater.
Bro, that doesn't make sense, bro.
Bro, I remember when I hated someone so much in primary school that I went up to them and said, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, in the future I will hit you with a car." I remember saying
Why'd
that.
you hate them, bro? What did they do to you?
Bro, you remember that, that dude? I won't say his names because I said his name on the story time, but you remember that dude who kept getting me in trouble? For no reason?
Was it a long form video?
Oh, yeah, it was a long form video and a bunch of shorts too.
Oh.
Alright, got the jet suit, let's go. I'm gonna do it this time. Alright. I didn't go for the shortcut. I didn't go for the shortcut because you can take damage from the shortcut, you know?
Bro, I did not even take a single damage, bro.
Okay, dash right into the wall. Alright. Like me table has
Wait.
space for a cup, but nowhere else? Okay.
Wait, did that kid who was annoying in primary school forgive you or apologize or something, or did he just leave?
He just left. He didn't even apologize, bro. Bro, he would... This dude would slap me across the face and then get me in trouble for it, bro.
Firewall is activated to encrypt.
That's why I
And
hated
yet the
him.
principal's even stupid enough to believe him.
Yeah, bro.
The firewall will be turned off to help alleviate stress. Good luck.
Double jump.
Bro, when I was in primary, I had the best principal and deputy ever.
I mean, the principal was pretty chill at our school. It's just that, you know...
Seriously.
Oh my god.
I can literally hear the alarm. If you know what I mean.
Derg. Okay, wait, I'm a little behind. That's no worries, though. Oh! Ah, dang it. Nah, okay. We don't talk about that, Chad. We don't talk about that. Oh.
What do you mean? We don't talk about that.
Bro,
You
you're...
have to talk about it, Graham.
Wait, you know that clip in Murder Mystery 2 where I fell off the boat and died, and then I said we don't talk about that?
Oh yeah?
Bro, that was actually hilarious, bro. I don't know.
Why did you clip it, bro?
No, I don't know if I clipped it.
No, you didn't. You only clipped the part where Godzilla crashed out.
Oh, yeah. Bro, he just knew it was me for some reason. No!
Bro, he even clipped you. He even clipped you, dude.
Bro.
Yeah, I'm cooked. The firewall's right next to
No!
me.
Oh! Why is it going backwards? Get out of here! Stop going backwards! Bro! My character was going backwards and I couldn't control it for some reason.
Wait, did you die? Did you die?
No, I'm not dead. I'm actually pretty close to the fire, bro. Oh my god, I need to lock in. How am I still alive right now? Bro, look how far away I am from y'all. Y'all are like 2 rooms ahead.
Whoa. How did someone make it all the way to the end already? Are you using hacks or something?
Forsaken time, bro. What do you mean forsaken time, bro?
Bro, how? I can't do that stupid thing
Wait,
anymore?
no! I'm gonna die to the firewall! No! We're gonna die to the firewall! Wait, never mind. We're gonna get low speed. No! Low PS already! Low PS already! Oh my god! Bro, I took so...
Wait,
No way, I'm dead. No, I have to be dead.
No!
Yep. Bro! Are we serious? I was too far away!
Wait, yo, they saved me! Yo, they just triggered the gauntlet!
Oh my god, bro.
Sorry.
No, please don't lope me, I'm begging you.
Bro, I died to Mr. Lopey because the stupid firewall,
No, I'm
bro.
gonna get lopeed!
Why did he take so long to Lopey me, bro?
Bro,
If he
what the
did-
hell? I just got lopeed.
Bro, if he did it quicker, I wouldn't have died. Bro, I died to Mr. Lopey because I got stuck behind and the doors are shut. And then the firewall was like... And then Mr. Lopey kept taking too long and I got damaged by the firewall. And then I died to Mr. Lopey, bro. Bro, if Mr. Lopey was like 2 seconds earlier, I would have actually survived.
I'm cooked, Graham. You know what? I can't swim. Never mind, I can. I can't swim. What the? Oh, no, I can. Okay. Come on.
Bro, they're
I need
already
to
at
find the exit.
they're already at the end of the water rooms.
Oh, I'm gonna get lopeed again.
Oh, chain.
Bro, I already survived Chain. Bro, Chainsmoker spawned right next to me and he almost killed me. Wait, how much health were you on where Mr. Lopi got you?
20.
Bro, come on, no!
Bro, that's so buns! Why did Mr. Lopey take so long? Just Lopey me already! Like, it's so buns. Bro, if he...
Crap.
If Mr. Lopi was like
I got-
2 seconds earlier, I would have actually survived, bro.
I got a good locker.
Oh, they stood at the safe
what?
spot.
I used the closet room from doors.
In me, primary school,
Wait.
old principal.
Wait a second, how does this guy still have the jet suit?
What? Yo. What the? Wait a second. Nah, let me spectate him. Wait, where is he? Wait, he died! He died! Bro, I was gonna
Take
spectate
that. That's what you
him!
get. That's what you get for getting a jet suit and low peeing us. He was low. That was the guy who was low peeing us.
Bro, does that mean he's the reason I died? Cause,
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's why he got low peed so late.
Oh. Oh, not safe, not safe. Yep.
Bro, why is the light flicker so delayed, bro? When you say it's not safe, it doesn't even show up so early.
Bro, why is this guy leaving? What if it's Pan Day? Yeah, oh, it's another Simon. Wait. In me, my primary school, our old principal let us do end-of-year parties, bring snacks, make jello, and play games. The new principal doesn't, let that, and the tradition died, but he's still a chill guy. Talks to him on a regular basis. Nice childhood memories. Okay.
Bro, bottom feeder again? Seriously?
Again? Oh, yeah. Pola speedrunning, bro. Pola is speedrunning. Not safe. Oh, wait.
Give me this. The front.
Alright, I have 1 minute of revive time left. So yeah.
I can't
They
see.
have
What
no
the heck?
shield. Oh.
I can't see! Never mind.
Bro, there are always
I need a lot of
those... There are always those pressure players that are somehow able to speedrun and somehow still dodge the anglers while speedrunning. You know what I mean?
We got the door open, bro. I am so cooked right now. I'm gonna get low peed.
I miss the OG days, like when naval warfare was popular. What?
Bro, what the hell was nail, bro? What the hell are these type of games, bro?
Bro, Polamane
Yeah, I'm cooked.
and the other dude is
Cool,
speedrunning.
definitely.
They got you Lopi? Bro, why'd they have to
No.
get me Lopi, bro? Why did the door have to be why did the door have to be closed, bro? At the end. If that door was open, I would have actually made it.
Also, I think there's so much shelves around here, bro. The big shelf, the shelf strap.
Bro, look at Polamane, bro. They just speedrunning.
Wait, what? Wait, did they revive without the jet suit?
I'm not sure. Bro, Polamane is speedrunning right now. They're not stopping. Like, not even kidding. How do they even do that? They just don't stop for some reason.
Wait, what is this room? Wait, look at this. What is this room?
Yo, the trees. I don't know. Oh no, Polamane's ping is high. Never mind. Oh, whoa. Okay, my time of reviving has ran out. Okay. I got a notification on YouTube. Bro, why are people calling me out for that, bro?
Calling you out for what?
Bro, so basically, Melly Mike, the author of that song that went popular because a kid was dancing on a boat, right? He basically collabed with that kid dancing on the boat, and I went in the comments section and said, yo, is that the kid who danced on the boat? And everyone keeps replying with, yeah, duh, are you blind and all that, bro. Like, bro, I was just asking! Hey, at least I got 700 likes, though, on the comment.
Oh, I got gauntlet. Okay.
Okay, I'll stop yapping about the comment, bro.
Someone got to Alpha Station earlier.
They got you low-feed. I have a feeling they're X-raying. You mean like hacks, bro? I don't know, man.
That was real, definitely. I'm going up.
Yeah, just like Polamane, bro. Why is that bunny named I'm So Shy?
I don't know.
There are some pressure players who are just absolute sweats sometimes. They just don't stop.
Like me, mate. Like me, bruh.
Bro,
Who do you think I am?
I see you stopping. I mean people who don't stop.
Yeah, I'm not stopping at all. I'm just gonna keep going.
Bro, you sometimes stop. Polar Main doesn't stop though. Limbo
What is this
is
guy right here?
Limbo, is
Wait,
this
was
the
that- wait, was
date
that-
you started playing Roblox? 4th of 7th, 2022? Bro, I started playing Roblox in 2020. I have an account made in 2020, but then, for a few days, for a few months, I thought my account got hacked, so I made this one. But then, after, like, months, I realized I didn't get hacked at all.
And did you seriously make an account just to do that?
But I made a new account because I thought, wait, are you gonna do another run? Yeah, of course, man. After this one. We're gonna do another run, okay? You will have to wait for, like, everyone to die, though. Well, not everyone to die, I mean, like, you know.
Come on, Oxygen Gardens.
Bro, Gardens is so goofy. Polar Main.
Oh, the fire. Oh my goodness, look at this.
Oh.
Oh my god, actually,
Okay,
even
okay.
the divines are on fire. What the heck? No, please
Yo,
don't stop.
Polar Main is
I'm
walking
begging
on the
you.
grass! That's how much of a sweat they are, what the heck? How are some people just built like that when they play Pressure? They just don't stop at all. And they just keep going.
Bro, she stopped when there was a turret.
Bro. I mean... Yeah, but
I mean, I do as well, but like, bro, it's accurate. You have to stop.
Yeah.
Stop and wait. For
Yo,
the
what's
time
up?
to come.
What's up, Milo?
Oh, that's Blitz. I saw let's flicker for double.
Bro, I saw Blitz... Bro, why was Blitz blue that time?
Because apparently there's an effect for the anglers.
Wait, Blitz was blue, oh my god.
There's an effect that they will light up for like 1 second.
That's why they were
Bro,
blue?
come on, I need to charge my laptop, bro. Come on. Why did the wire suddenly drop out of my hand?
Oh, why'd you activate the door? Stop it, bro.
Wait, did she get damage from it, or did she?
It works.
Oh my god, bro, I am literally so cooked right now. I'm not gonna make it, dude. Definitely.
I mean, is your laptop charging?
No, it's because there's sweat. Because this guy's literally a sweat. I'm so cooked. There's a sweat in the game.
Yeah, Polar Main.
Wait, did she subscribe to you?
Wait, who? Polar Main? I don't know.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know if they're subscribed?
What the hell is a bunny in my vision?
Oh my god, yo.
Why is everything so goofy?
The Gordon posted yesterday is 2K views now. Let's go.
Bro, you're gonna catch me up in subs.
Bro, I'm not, dude. And also, I'm trying to get to 1K before the end of the year. Okay, that's why I'm on the grind. You know what I mean? I'm on the grind. I'm joining
Wait,
next
how
run,
did-
by the
wait.
way.
Wait,
Okay.
how did the door open? There was no one opening it.
I don't know. Oh, Sebastian sent me a request. Okay. Milo said they're joining next run. I'm pretty sure. Isn't Milo your friend?
Yeah. Wait, who's Milo? Wait, was Milo in the chat?
Yeah, he said he's joining next run.
Also, it's she.
Oh, she? Oh, sorry. John Smithing Table. Yo, what's up, John Smithing Table? I'm back, yo.
You sniff tables? No way.
Yup, and he probably does it better than, I don't know. I was about to say better than I do, but I don't smith tables, okay? I don't smith tables. So, obvious...
I don't sniff tables either, bro. Who sniffs tables?
Who smiths tables?
Sniffing the table, bro.
Oh, sniffing the bro. I said smithing the tables, you know?
Oh, there's a wall dweller right there.
Okay.
Please don't spawn right now, dude. I'm in a bad place right now.
Oh my god, man.
Yeah, I'm cooked.
Alright,
Never mind.
I do have a big video idea for the gaming channel, so yeah.
Bro, I'm so cooked, dude. I'm so far behind. Not gonna make it.
Puff something that I'll never make it. Now I got proof that I'm taking it there. Oh, bro, no, I can't be scared. I gotta do it like Nike. Yeah, I wanna be the new man of the mirror, like
Wait, did they make it to
man
the
of the year. No, I don't think. Wait, no, they probably did actually.
Wait,
Yeah, they did.
Wait,
They
why
did.
did my ping rise all of a
They
sudden?
did. They made it to the end.
Yo, that was a very short ridge. What the heck?
That was a ridge.
Yo, how did I make it with a sweat?
Yo, we have 16 watching. Yo, thank you guys.
You died early just to mess with your team, didn't you?
No, I didn't, Sebastian. Stop lying. Stop lying. Yo, I'm swimming. I'm a ghost now.
Bro,
He
someone
is brutal.
said that someone's speed hacking and no clipping. Who?
Yeah, who? The thing is though, you can't say it's Polamane because I've been spectating them the whole time. Yo, I'm swimming! Never mind, I'm walking. God damn it. Why do I have to be walking as a ghost?
Because it's better for you to walk on water, bro.
Bro, I
You
hate
deserve it, bro.
I hate walking on water, bro. I'm not that dude from Over the Hedge, okay? It's not like he can walk on water. Hey everybody! Here's the way to the food! Bro, have you watched Over the Hedge?
Maybe, I think I've heard of it before.
Bro, y'all using that glitch now. Alright, I'm a ghost now, and I see...
But it's buns, because stupid parasites.
Yeah. Okay. The searchlights is coming your way, Spacey. Oh, he's right in front of you. Oh, that was close. That was actually close. I see Mr. Spaceman over there. Oh, him and Polamane are going straight for it. Oh, you got it first. Polamane is heading into this area, and that Polamane's fixing another one. Okay, Oh, I spot a generator. Alright. Okay.
Generators. Give me this.
This one over there. Oh, this one in... Okay. Yeah, you already know it's there. Oh, never mind. You're heading for a different one. Oh, nice. And now they're getting that one. Oh my god, this is even better. Is that the one about the squirrel? Yeah, Over the Hedge. I've watched Over the Hedge. I love it. Yo, Over the Hedge is a pretty good movie, not gonna lie. The fact that it was released in 2006, bro, I don't even know how it's that good. Like, I mean, I'm not saying old movies are bad, because Terminator 2 was released in like 1980 in its peak. Okay?
Come with me if you want to live.
Bro. Hasta la vista, baby. Get down.
No. This is how he says it. Hasta la vista, baby.
Bro. Bro, I remember watching that.
I think he also says I'll be back in the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he says it when he goes inside the smoke to kill the police.
Bro, I remember watching Terminator 2 in science class, Because our teacher put it on.
Bro, but it's not for your age yet.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's MA15 plus, and they played that movie last year before I was even, 15, bro. I'm kind of busy, so I'm joining in an hour. Okay.
Bro, not only that, they even played what's that movie called? Private Ryan? Private Ryan?
Oh yeah, Private Ryan, bro. They played Private Ryan, bro. There was even one scene where some dude just headshot sniped someone.
And was there blood everywhere?
Yup.
Bro, that is actually so creepy. Bro, why would your teacher put so much offensive movies, bro? That's actually hilarious.
Bro, they put on Terminator 2. I mean, bro, I remember.
I was getting a generator.
Polamane got it, bro. Polamane got it. And Polamane's waiting by the thing. Oh, now he's got it, okay. Or she, I don't know. Hold up wouldn't crush to bits. Since you're far down the ocean, you would freeze to death. Bro, it's the Let Van Zone, bro. The Let Van Zone has no pressure, I'm pretty sure. Because it's underneath. It's... Uh-oh, Polamane is being tracked. Oh, never mind. So it's different? Yeah. Wait, is the Let Van Zone real, or is it just made up? I think it's made up.
It's fake, it's just fiction.
Bro, it sounds like... The name Let Van Zone sounds real, though, not gonna lie.
But there is some inspirations for the Let Van Zone. It's called Mariana Trench.
Search up the document and it explains that, okay.
Bro, the Let Van Zone's not real.
Bro, someone said to look at the document of the Let Van Zone.
Yeah, wait, did they say it's real?
Wait, what? This person's... What the... Wait, what? What?! What?! They went through the trench bleeder foot. Wait, can you die to the trench bleeder at the end?
No, you can't.
Oh, okay.
Can't.
Bro, he literally got stomped on by the trench bleeder and just went through. That looked kinda goofy, not gonna lie. Dang.
Wait, how can you revive someone if they're already dead? Bro, no way I actually beat it, dude. No way.
Wait, who's that? Oh yeah, Milo said they're... Wait, who is... Oh yeah, Milo said they're joining next round, okay. Wait, how did I survive from the trench bleeder? I'm pretty sure you can't die to the trench bleeder, unless it's that trench bleeder room. Oh, finally, that took a bit long. Bro, that run was like half an hour long, I mean... Yeah. Yo, why is there a whole crowd of people here? Wait, no, it's not really a crowd. It's just a bunch of people grouped up.
I really thought that assumption thing happened again.
Good luck,
Bro.
out there.
Just imagine some big YouTuber pops up in our pressure lobby and helps us. That'll be crazy. That's not gonna happen.
No. My favorite thing that happened was when when someone playing assumption and then we got like 34 people off or something.
Limbo, I was the one that got squashed, but I got brought back to life and I died ages ago. Bro, how though? How did someone defib you there? That's what I'm wondering.
If a man or a song.
Alright, we're going to 50 players. Bitter Butter, V1, yo, what's up?
If it's love that you want.
Oh, CPR.
I'll give my everything.
I'm done eating rice. Okay.
Do you feel the same?
Bro, I remember when Elijah showed me the weirdest video ever on YouTube.
What was the video about, mate?
He showed me a video of a kid going to a pool and pretending to drown so that the female lifeguard would perform CPR, and then when she was performing CPR, he grabbed the back of her head and started, like, bro, that's so weird.
What? I thought Elijah was family friendly. What the heck?
Yeah, he is, but like he's I don't know. So sometimes he's goofy, I guess. I don't know. Well, no,
He faked his girlfriend, bro.
bro, there was one time. There was one time though. Yup. Everyone, come to 50 players or Goofy. 50 players or Goofy, bro. Bro. Go to 50. Where can I see your stream? I'm live on Red app. I'm live on... Bro, how do I say YouTube without getting tagged? It won't let me. You know, I'll just say... You know, I'll just say this. They should know... I don't want to hear yapping. Well, we're not yapping. You are. If you don't want to hear yapping, then just shut up, because you're the one yapping. Ooh, roasted. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding! I pressed document and this guy yapping. Bro, who is... Bro, what? This Sophia person is just waffling about waffling and waffling.
I said Sophia is goofy.
Yo, wait, that's how you say YouTube in the... Yeah, no, that's actually a good way. Okay, I'm live on YouTube. No, it still tagged it, bro. Bro, he said YouTube with a U. That might actually work. I'm live on YouTube. Dude, I thought that was gonna work. Say YouTube to say YouTube. Bro, I already did that. Why are you saying stroop waffle, bro? That's what Elijah said.
I know. That's what I'm saying it because it's so funny for some reason. Stroop waffle.
Bro, when he said stroop waffle, that kind of reminded me of Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah, same. But I realized it was a cookie. It's an actual cookie, by the way. Wait, someone's flying!
What? Wait, where? Wait, I think I saw that.
No. Wait, no, we can't let him go in the submarine.
He could be a hacker, but like, he will get his...
He is! He was flying! People who fly are hackers.
Bro, What? He's gonna get his clout if he gets in...
You are tubing, what the heck?
I'm live on Tube. Bro, how do I say I'm live on platform without getting tagged? I'm live on Tube. Bro, how do I... Okay. Fat Man Scoop... Bro, why are you saying Fat Man Scoop Crook the Clan in the chat, bro?
That's what you said. You said...
Yeah, you need a crook... Wait.
Fat Man Scoop, Crook the Clan. Fat Man Scoop, Crook the Clan.
My channel.
Crooklyn. I want to make a remix of that song.
I'm trying to say my channel, Graham Games. Bro, let me say my channel, bro. Let me say my channel. Roblox, let me say my channel. Say you are tubing. Okay, wait.
Bro, I just heard that part where you got kicked out of Roblox and got a warning.
Oh, let me say my channel, Roblox, please. Someone's asking for my channel, so I have to give him my thing, bro. Okay. You are tubing. Oh my god, why does Roblox tag everything? Bro, I say YT, tagged, I say YouTube, tagged, I say GG, tagged, and then some dude asks to do it in Brookhaven, and he doesn't get tagged. Roblox! Fix your damn moderation!
Bro, don't look outside of a chat. In the live chat.
Bro, someone asks me for my channel, I try to give them my channel, but then boom! Tagged! Like,
wait, are you guys in the submarine?
Fix your damn moderation, bro. I don't care if I'm leading one person out of millions of people off the platform, bro. There's millions of people playing every day. Why are you focusing so hard on player growth, bro? Didn't Grow a Garden get you like 40 million players at once? Like, bro, why you...
Bro,
I'll
go
subscribe
look
right
at
after
in
this.
chat, in your live chat, please.
Wait, what? Where's my message? I said thanks. Why didn't it pop up? I had to say it again. Okay. Come on, bro. We need more players.
Bro, the way you say goofy is so hilarious.
Goofy. Roblox should grow a brain? Yeah, exactly, bro. Yo, there's 2 YouTubers here? Oh, yeah, there are. It takes 2.
I wanna rock right now! I was kidding. But that's one of the samples for the Black Eyed Peas song.
Yo, wait, we just gained a sub. Yo, thank you, bro.
Yo, you know that part in the song of the Black Eyed Peas?
Ugh.
Bro, what?
Yo, he said YouTube with emojis. Yo, he saw your stream the other day. Hey, stop jumping! Stop touching my space bar! Stop jumping! Touching my space bar, bro! Stop jumping! I do streams.
You know Diva? He or she was in my stream last Sunday.
Okay. Come on!
Bro, I need to gain some subs, bro, from the stream. Come on.
But you're gonna gain this Sunday.
Bro, I can't wait till Sunday, bro.
You're gonna gain this Sunday. Then I don't know. Make a vid. Make a
Are we
vid.
going now? I think this is enough. Let's go.
Yeah.
Get in. Get in or Goofy. But if the hacker joins, bro, I'm gonna crash out. There was someone flying, dude. I just saw someone fly from the lobby.
I don't think having it on 140 quality is gonna be good enough, my boy.
Single launch a premium spacecraft. Oh, it's got a $460 billion aircraft doing God knows what.
So you want to launch a preemptive strike? Wait, what was the line again? I forgot the line.
Wow, it's got a $370 billion aircraft doing God knows what.
Bro, that line was the funniest part, bro. I don't know why no one in the cinema was laughing. Like, I was watching the Final Reckoning in the cinemas, and I was just laughing so hard when he said that. I was
Wait, who are you watching it with? Were you watching it by yourself or?
I was watching it with my brother and my dad.
Oh.
My dad was there. I'm surprised
River Rooms.
Bro, River Rooms is goofy. You're gonna get some head dent from these headphones. Come on. Yo, we just gained another sub. Yo, thank you, bruh.
Bro, subscribe to me, bro.
Bro, you're gaining some. Post a vid or something. I don't know.
I can't, bro. I don't have ideas. I don't have ideas.
I'm on the stream and game. Yo, nice. I don't know, maybe go promote your stream in a random Roblox game after a stream. Just go into a game and spam sub to my channel or something. That's what I did, and I gained like 4 subs. Bro, you're saying Crook the Clan?
Bro, I don't know how, but when I showed you that song, you absolutely loved it for some reason.
Crook the Bread Clan. I honestly thought that song would sound a bit different though.
Wait, do you love that song?
Well, I really like the $100 bill part, bro. It's really catchy. Bro. Whenever I search up catchy songs on YouTube, they don't even show up catchy songs, bro.
But I think Fat Man Scoop takes the crown, bro. Bro, you know he has a remix of It Takes Two.
Oh yeah. Yo, we just gained another sub. Yo, thank you guys.
Open it, bro. Why's my ping so bad today, bro?
Can't wait for the Q&A session. Yo, y'all need to put some more questions though, honestly. I mean, it's not anyone's fault because I'm not that big of a YouTuber, but you know. That's, yeah.
Yeah. Bro, when I say that, bro, I sound like someone high on something.
Bro, this is the best pressure music, bro. Not even trolling.
Yeah, it's the best ambience music. Open it. Wait, is this time to hard yet? Okay, no, it's not. And now it's time to hard.
Oh, safe spots. Yes. No. Go right. No. Bro. I hit the damage. I'm not looking at him. Bro, y'all saw that, bro. Yeah. Bro, you saw that, right? I wasn't even looking at him, and I took damage.
I don't even know that you took damage or not, bro. I can't see your health. I wish I could.
But you saw that, though. You saw that I wasn't even looking at him, right?
Bro, I didn't see, bro. Sorry.
Bro, I wasn't even looking at him, and I took damage.
Yeah. Bass drop.
Did they?
Bro.
What? Did they like buff Infestation in an update or something?
No, they didn't buff him up, but they did remove him from some rooms.
Yeah, it's real.
They removed him from. They removed him from. So technically, they did nerf him a little bit.
Oh. Bro,
what the hell?
That ambience is so creepy. I hate that.
Yeah, no, that sounds like Chucky. That you know Chucky, that doll.
Bro, nah, don't talk about it, bro. I hate those type of dolls, bro.
Bro, I used to own dolls, bro.
Bro, I saw a clip of Megan, the doll movie, bro. And bro, it was kind of traumatizing, not gonna lie. Bro, she literally ripped Akira's ear off, bro. That was so traumatizing.
Bro, no, Terminator has worse than that, bro. He literally ripped his eye out. You didn't see that part where he ripped his eye out?
Oh, I don't know. I really liked it though.
In the Terminator, in the first movie.
Oh, first movie, bro. I only watched the second one.
Wait, are you safe?
Yeah, I was in a thing, bro. I would have been yelling if, bro, who gave me the medkit? Yo, thank you. Wait, I'm gonna use it actually. I'm gonna use it cause
Goofy.
I'm gonna use it cause stupid Infestation is so bad. He's so buns.
Bro, I remember the first time. I remember when you first met Infestation in a live stream. Bro, you literally looked right at his goofy eyes.
Bro, I didn't know what he did back then. That was like my first.
God, Infestation, bro. Infestation. Oh my god, bro. Wait, why am I damage?
Wait, get in.
Bro, that was a hilarious clip, bro. That was a very hilarious clip.
Isn't classic era before 2015?
Wait, did Velocious flicker, by the way? My ping is
yeah, they did. Get in! First. ZL, you're gonna pay for that, ZL, bro. Okay, I'm in a locker. I'm good. Bro! I hit E on the locker, but I didn't get in for some reason, and then ZL went up, and then he got in, bro. What? What? Bro, I hit that first, too!
Bro, I'm on super high ping right now, dude.
I got those items first, too, but it didn't give me it. What?
Bro, shit, bro. Maybe turn on your performance stats. I think. Because I'm realizing that the ping is causing everything to be so delayed, bro. I can't even open the vents fast enough.
Bro, I literally hit the locker first, bro. And for some reason, like, I literally went up to it, I clearly hit E, and then I didn't hide for some reason. And then Z-How went up to it right after, and then for somehow he got in, so I have to go to a different locker. It's so buns. Wait, why are you hiding?
Oh my god! Wait, the lights flicker.
I'm not sure.
Bro, I'm so scared right now, bro. My ping is too high.
It's either us or you. Like, you mean it's either who dies or who lives. Limbo, what's your biggest fear?
Give me it! Give me the key card, bro!
My biggest fear, like...
Hide! There's a shelf strap! Found it.
My biggest fear is probably death. Probably.
Yeah, I don't want to see how I die in the future.
Honestly, though, I feel like in the future I'm gonna end up dying to diabetes, not gonna lie.
Bro, exactly, bro. All those chips you've been eating, bro.
Aw,
suckers!
Bro, it's not. Spacey, should I start quoting Graham? Maybe.
Yeah. Quote him. Guys, start quoting him, please.
But please quote the actual good moments, not those goofy moments, bro.
Yeah, clip everything that Graham does, please.
Bro,
it's so funny.
why is it so delayed? I literally picked up the suit. Why am I not fast? Oh, there we go.
Bro, 9 people are doing the firewall? No way. Let the bass drum go.
It all
That
sucks
song
too.
sounded very similar to that song, bro. I hope you know that song that I was singing, bro.
Everything you've ever wanted, everything you ever dreamed. It starts now, start today.
It wasn't Just Dance, bro. It wasn't Just Dance.
There is no tomorrow. And then the next bar has swear words, I'm not... Bro, why you saying I'm lagging, bro? You even constantly said that at school, bro.
Bro, keep quoting Graham, bro. It's so hilarious.
Whoever fails stinks at pressure, bro. What do you mean, bro? You mean they stink at parkour, not pressure, dude? And also, just because they can't beat this doesn't mean they're not good at parkour. I mean, I don't know.
Bro, seriously, bro. I went on the platform. This is so fun. Oh!
Wait, no, he's actually close. It's actually close. Bro, Xiao fell? How did he fall there? Bro, I was
bad at parkour.
I wasn't
Also,
even.
Why is Zia doing the firewall? Why you say he's bad at parkour?
Wait, no, I'm actually too close to the firewall, so I better lock in, man. Yeah, I should start
the monkey bars. I don't need to do the monkey bars right now.
The platforms.
Woo! Bro, the platforms are so cool, dude.
What? No. Move me there, bro. Swing. You gotta go swing.
No. Wait, no.
Wait, where am I? I'm on 20 HP. I'm cooked.
Go, dude. Oh my gosh, I'm so cooked, dude.
Bro, same. I'm on 20 HP. If I fall one more...
No! Come on!
Oh no, don't lag, please. Don't lag.
Oh, moving platforms, okay. Squid game time. No! Come on, I fell! Because stupid moving platform!
Bro, I'm literally cooked, bro. I'm on 20 HP.
Come on, get the medkit. I need to get the medkit.
Same, I'm on 20 HP.
I need to get the medkit.
Ain't no way I did it, bro. Ain't no way. Holy internet, I'm watching this at 240p, bro. You can read. You can watch this at 180p 60 FPS, bro.
Locker before continuing. Failure to do so will result in
Okay,
Yeah, I'm cooked.
I need a heal, bro. Yo, I'm extra fast. Let's go. I'm extra fast. Uh-oh, not this. Oh.
But lights flicker, Grim. Stay in
No.
there.
No. No. Angler comes through the water, bro.
No! I'm cooked.
Same.
Oh, there's no locker!
Oh my god.
Come on!
Oh, bro, I died too. Oh my
did you
god. Same. Yeah, I did.
No, I know. We're doing another round. Oh, come on, bro. No, we're doing another round, bro. I'm not gonna spectate, bro. It takes forever.
Yeah, no. Bro, oh my god, man.
Bro, seriously, bro. What is this ping we're on? Oh my god, bro. No, I'm not joining free servers.
You're not
bro,
joining.
That puts us in an Australian server, apparently.
You're not joining what servers?
I'm not joining through servers, like the bottom part. I'm gonna press the play button. And see what server it gives me. Probably Australian, hopefully.
No, it doesn't always give you Australian. Oh, you got my server!
Wait, what? Oh.
Oh yeah, because I'm friended to you. It mainly puts you with friends.
Are you a magnet or what, mate? Come on!
No, if you join, no, because I remember one of my friended people was in a game in Rivals, and they were in a Malaysian server, so I left their server, and I kept joining, but I kept getting put in their server. You're so friggin' slow, bro. What? Friggin' packets, bro? Friggin' packets at 1 a.m.
Seriously, bro, this is actually so buns, bro. I literally couldn't. Just put lockers there, mate.
Bro, they need to put more lockers. I mean, they do got a lot, but it's just that 50 players, man.
It's RNG, mate. It's room generation, bro. Oh my god, bro. RNG. Just put lockers in the damn corner there.
Graham, what's better, dog or cat? I don't know.
Cat.
Dogs can be protective, but like I'm kind of scared of dogs IRL. Don't ask, bro. It's kind of cause I've seen someone like. I mean, I don't know. It's probably in like a movie, but I remember seeing like a video of someone getting attacked by a dog, and I got traumatized from that like years ago. So that's kind of why.
Cats are better than dogs.
I've pet a few cats before, even though I don't even have a cat, dude.
Bro, if you pull their tail, they'll scratch you. I've done that before. You know, I got scratched by a cat before.
Z out, get out of the thing, bruh.
Bro, you know I've been scratched by a cat before, like actuals.
Oh, I haven't.
I have. Apparently I grabbed its tail. That's why. I made a little. I scared it.
Graham, what's better, dog or monument dog?
Bro, why is the username called Monument Steak Enjoyer?
Bro, why do people talk about monument being made out of meat?
Apparently, in the outdoors, you can see monuments being cooked. Like actuals. There's monuments being cooked in the fire.
Wait, okay, he said live on YouTube. Yo, we just gained another sub. Yo, thank you guys. We're 4 subs away from the sub goal.
Just give me some subs, bro. Come on.
Bro.
Just give me some damn subs, bro. I'm poor. I'm broke.
Bro, you're not broke, bro. In fact, you know what I know, Spacey? I know exactly what you've been hiding this whole time. So, who's Clara, huh? Who's Clara, huh? I've seen you've been dating someone, you know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. Why am I saying this? go to 50 players. You mind if I pop 5 sprints at the beginning? Oh no, please don't. I mean, if you want, but what's your name? Say my channel name. Come on, it's Graham Games. Nope, Graham Game. Graham Games. There we go. That's my, you know. Oh, that's my. Bro, stop blasting clips through the mic. From 559 to 566. That's insane. Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Bro, Zia, what are you saying in the chat?
Bro, why'd you sound like a grandpa in that clip, bro?
Bro, cause my mic, it's my old laptop. Bro, stop tagging me, Roblox. I'm just trying to type. I'm just asking for my message to not be tagged for once. Like, bruh, come on, man. Come on. Just stop tagging my messages. Stop tagging my messages. Stop tagging my messages. Stop tagging my messages. Stop tagging my messages.
Bro, quiet, bro. I will stop tagging your messages, okay?
Tell Roblox to stop tagging my... What? Why are you playing nerd? Stop playing the nerd video. Super close to the sub goal. Please sub to Graham Games. Maybe I'll get paid for advertising.
What was ZL playing?
What? What?
What was ZL playing, Graham? Please tell me.
He's playing some nerd video. I don't know. Nerd. Geek. Nerd. Oh yeah, I'm back. Yo, what's up, John Smithing Table? Yo.
Bro, I remember when you watched that. When you watched that video on stream, the nerd versus geek video that I made.
You
should actually watch the full nerd versus geek video. It's actually fire.
Yeah, I did.
It's actually kind of it's goofy, but it's actually hilarious.
How do they rap like that, bro?
I'm a new console. Your face is burp control. I troll more than such. You look like an actual troll. I'm going plus, so you just suck.
Bro,
can your iPhone autocorrect your dumb haircut?
That is literally Eminem plus, bro. Eminem. If you spin. I don't know what I'm saying.
You never get to procreate. I just haven't ever woman
Wait, what?
of caliber.
Yo, someone's following on Twitch. Yo, thank you, bro.
The only date you have on your Google calendar. Listen is value. Folks, so hell, in the future you randomly access this memory and crap yourself. Did I mention there's a Bill dating robot? No one gives a crap about your shooter jeans. Do you even know what URL means? You don't even know what you're talking about. Bro,
I can't type.
You know, you are a classic example of the inverse ratio between the size of a mouth and the size of a brain.
What? That's crazy. Yo, what's up, Tiger the Lion? Boo, it's me. Yo, what's up?
Should we get in now? I think this is enough.
Yeah, let's go.
For like 30 minutes. Let's go. All right, okay, we're gonna play the vault at like let's say like 6 minutes.
Oh yeah, we got half an hour.
We're probably not gonna make it through the stream.
Okay, 16.
I mean, what do you think you're doing, nerd? Did you just call me a nerd? Geek? Yeah, nerd. Yes, I am a nerd, but where I'm studious. From my cerebral cold text to my gluteus. Back in kindergarten, I aced my college entrance exam.
Bro, you the lyrics, bro. You're so goofy.
Oh wait, I am. When I pull my alphabet, I get none of my straight A's. From my teeth, no, connected to a back race. I got a back and protector. I remember lessons in first having lived together. We're back to Reddit and type stop. No one will see. You're a geek. That means you're just a hipster wannabe.
Yes.
Something geek, I got brains and a personality. I learned my lessons sincerely.
John! John was trying to join. Wait.
I wear my glasses. I wear my glasses ironically, and my t-shirts ironically. There's other things you can't learn in the class. Also signing up to interest into not how to be a social outcast. Register early 2013. I was so cool from Uncle before Uncle became a thing. I used to act to teleport with the perfect Bertol. Too bad there's no app to neutralize your BO. While I also like the left letting your fingernails grow long, I'll be sticking out my iPhone, tablet, TV, and your mom.
Yo, what the hell? Yo, noise.
I don't care. Also, good and chain. Now that's not.
Yo, Coffee's watching. Wait, Coconut's watching the live stream. Yo, what's up, Coconut? Let's go.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. That rap battle is much better than how Eminem does it, mate.
Bro, John Smithing Table said, I was about to get in. Bro, you could have been the 20th person. No. It's all good, Stall. It's all good. But you can join tomorrow.
Oh, this cave. Oh my goodness, this is so cool. I don't know. This is my favorite dock though. I think my favorite one's the server room one, or the outskirts. The outskirts one looks so cool.
Yo, what? What is this? Sorry about that. What is this dialogue? Wait, is that Sebastian? It's probably Sebastian in the comms. Oh, what?
There's a large Death Losers and Reject party. However, cosplay of hotties and play fake army. I tried Dungeons & Dragons once and I died of boredom, but I'll still kick your Assassin's Creed post-mortem.
Post-mortem? Oh, Ghost.
Mario Party's the only one you get invited to. Your life is like Skyrim and it's Quest and Solitude. Ooh, you be angry, bird, because you gotta give me because you battle your friends with words. I couldn't cute icons. You execute commands. Do you need to teach your GarageBand?
We have to do lockerless? Yeah, we kinda do, actually. Unless everyone dies, I don't know.
Yeah, unless everyone dies, we don't have to do lockerless anymore. Bro, find the key card, bro. It's so simple. Open it.
Quick, we got a side room.
Your end will be swift, and the seas will run with your blood.
Graham, I know you have a secret channel. It's called Graham Finance. Bro, what do you mean Graham Finance? I know nothing about finance, bro. That's not a secret channel, bro.
Graham Finance.
Bro, I know nothing about money and finance, okay? I'm literally broke.
Oh, watch out! Bro,
if I had a channel called Graham Finance, I wouldn't be broke right now, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we gotta hide. Oh, no, okay. I don't gotta save. Oh, side room.
Go.
Oh my god, that was actually close. That was actually close.
Oh, it was the front. Oh, okay.
Bro, if I had a channel called Graham Finance, I wouldn't be broke right now. And I haven't even finished school yet. Why would I have a channel about finance?
Wait, someone dropped a defib. What the heck? I got a defib.
How did someone drop a defib?
It's not possible.
Maybe they dropped it before they died.
Bye, Graham. I'm using sprints.
Oh, you're so buns. You're actually butt cheeks at the game. Get over here. I wish Abomination wasn't disabled, bro. Same.
Bro, it's bugged, bro. It has to be.
It has to be disabled, but you know, my money, bro.
I think it's better if it's disabled because so that we can stream, bro. Bro, seriously?
That's fake. That has no way. That has to be fake, right? Was that fake? No way. I'ma hide just in case. Please be fake. Please be fake.
No, that was fake.
Alright, that's good. Yes!
I think we got company.
No.
Oh, I clutched it.
I have a perfect sense, Pressure, because I play Rivals, man. I tweaked my sense just to get better aim. Come on.
Bro, open it. Oh my goodness.
If you ever see someone constantly changing their sensitivity in a shooter game, that's only because they're trying to get better aim, okay? That's why they change their sensitivity a lot, so they can get the perfect sense and DPI and all that
by the
good
way,
stuff.
Panda's sound in the under. It's very, very muffled.
Wait, wait,
I don't
wait,
think
wait,
it'll be
wait.
able to hear.
I'm stuck behind a pipe. I'm stuck. How do I get out?
Wait, Graham, you're safe. You're safe.
Yeah, I know, but how do I get out of the pipe? I'm stuck in a pipe.
Oh, someone stole my locker, but there was a locker right next to it. So.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Oh, never mind, I'm not. Bro, I hate that pipe, bro. I always get stuck. No, not always, but like, I get stuck in that pipe.
I got stuck between them before, bro, because you taught me this a strat before, I think.
Bro, I hate that pipe. By the way, Spacey also has a secret channel. It's called Spacey the Chef.
Bro, I'm not a chef.
Bro, I feel like you are. You said you watch cooking videos and you love food.
No, yeah, that's true. Because apparently they're satisfying. That's why.
Bro, I also love cooking videos, bro.
Bro, I still watch Nick, bro. You know Nick?
Nick DiGiovanni.
Yeah.
That guy's cool.
And Albert can cook, bro. Albert can cook.
Oh yeah, you know that video where he's like, Albert, what the?
I'm safe.
All right, here's your chip. Oh man, that chip's good. Albert, what the? Albert,
what's
what
that?
the? You know that video?
Yeah, I think I did.
Albert, what the? It's basically where Albert puts spice.
Searchlight.
Okay, nice.
Searchlight.
Basically, Albert gets one chip. You know the one chip challenge? He gets a bunch of one chip challenges and makes them into tacos and gives them to Chef Rush and Albert. And no, the other guy. The other guy is I forgot his name.
Patrick?
No, not Patrick. The other he has kind of big muscles. And no, it's not Chef Rush. There's Chef Rush and then another guy. And then the other guy is just like, Albert, what the? And then he's just chugging milk because it's too spicy, obviously. Albert, what the? And then he starts chugging milk. Actually, no. He poured a bunch of milk in his mouth, and then he spat it all out and said, Albert, what the? And it was so funny, not gonna lie.
Bro, no. You know apparently Shaquille O'Neal was in some cooking videos, apparently.
Okay. Let me out.
You know that video where Nick makes a small burger with Shaquille?
Spacey made a collab with Bayashi years ago, but he deleted the video because it got no views. What? What are you waffling about?
I know Bayashi. Is that the crispy fries guy?
He's that Japanese chef on YouTube. It's real good.
Oh wait, Iron Chef?
No, Bayashi TV, bro.
Wait, is he the guy who made that crispy fries meme?
Crispy fries? I don't know. I don't know anything about the crispy fries meme.
No, you know that meme where that guy says,
Damn it!
The most crispy fries.
Ah! You stole my generator, damn it! Oh, never mind. I got shocked, damn it.
Bro, stop getting shocked, bro.
I only got shocked once, bro.
Bro, finally got searchlights, bro, after years.
Oh! 45 generators, damn it! Oh! Searchlights isn't...
Greg, he's coming this way.
Oh. Aha, you didn't get me, fat chungus.
But
That's
you know
right.
What I like about the searchlights is the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
The conveyor belt's so fun.
Bro, we've already got 16 generators. Do you see the chat? Yes, I do see the chat, bro. I read it right now.
There's a safe spot on top of the shelf.
Yeah, get out of here, you fat chungus. Yes, they did,
Move
yep.
out the way, fat chungus.
Oh, he's coming this way! The fat chungus. Wait, what? Oh my god, I thought he was tracking me. I thought he was shooting at me. Bro, he's stuck. Wait, he's stuck for a little bit. Wait.
No, he killed somebody.
Oh, he's moving. He's on the run.
He killed someone. I just saw that he killed someone.
I hired the best. I hired the best geoguesser in the whole world.
I bought a property in Egypt, and what they do for you is they give you the property.
Got a bit of stream delay, like a minute or so, bro. My stream delay is only like 20 seconds, bro. Oh!
Yeah, it's like 20 seconds. What are you guys talking about? That's probably your internet, guys. Get
Yeah,
internet
maybe.
right, guys. Get internet right, guys. Gotta get it right. Also, why do you guys keep complaining about stream delays? Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, at least it's not too delayed, you know?
Oh, we're gonna buy sucker us, dude. I'm cooked.
Hey, suckers! Yeah, I made it.
No! Come on! Wait. Oh my god, he was right next to me.
This.
Bro, I really wish the searchlight would stop moving as the door opens, bro.
Get the door open. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Bro, who covered the damn thing? Oh, this is one of the most annoying.
Yeah, no, I don't like this.
Because stupid infestation can even spawn in. Oh. Oh, there's a landmine. Oh my goodness. Oh, they disarmed it. Okay. You can disarm landmines.
Yeah, no. Bro, I remember when Wraith disarmed a landmine, teabagged the landmine. Like, bro, literally teabagged the landmine. If it's Panday, we're all good. I might, maybe. Yeah, you have to stand in the side. Oh, no, never mind.
Bro, I have a flash beacon.
Don't step on the landmine, please.
Wait, how did this guy die?
I don't know, man. He said once this lag.
Stole his locker.
Maybe he lagged. I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna use sprints right now. I'm using sprints.
I'm gonna go sprint right now. I'm gonna use some sprints right now. Sure. I've never gotten that room. I've never gotten Stairwell 87 before. Oh.
87 is very, very rare.
Yeah, I know. I've played Pressure for months and I still haven't gotten it.
Hide.
Oh, Pinky. Bro, how did I hear that? I heard Pinky even though there was noises playing. Wait, no, not. I thought it was Pinky. Okay, I thought Pinky was coming. That's why I went to the corner, but it was angry.
Watch out, there's a maintenance room of the elevator and just go downstairs and...
Okay, is it right? No, it's left. Well, I don't like this. I don't like this room, bruh.
Bro, me neither. In 50 players, it's Bond.
Oh! Yes, track him, please. Wait, I'm gonna get low peed. I'm too far behind. I'm too far behind. I'm too far behind. Wait. I'm too far behind. Okay, why do I keep saying it like that? Well, what do you mean you're sorry, Sebastian, bruh? Oh, yeah. Try not to ruin the merchandise, yeah? Manny is a cool
Shut up,
man.
Sebastian, bro. What merchandise do you have, bro? You're not even a YouTuber.
Oh! Turbo! Fucker! I'm in Sebastian's shop! Get in! Oh! I got into to Sebastian's shop just in time, bro.
Not so imaginary friend.
I'm in Sebastian's shop,
Ping,
bro.
This ping is so stupid.
Wait, is
Get back in! Oh!
I'm in Seb's shop. Wait, is he done?
He's gone.
That's all the time we have today. Hopefully this doesn't kill you.
Wait, I'm gonna get low bead. Yep, I'm getting low bead. Yep, we're getting low bead.
Face the wrath of my ghost killer!
Wait, what the hell? Oh, outskirts. Wait, no!
Killed me! Bro.
What was it
Let
this
me
time?
revive you. Wait. That was my fault. Sorry.
It appears that they're bringing you back. Luck.
Wait, what? Why do I have phobia? Oh, gummy light! Yes! Give me the medkit too!
Graham, I did the landmine. I'm sorry. I did it.
Bro, I got low-beat and then I died to a landmine, bro.
Bro, because I triggered it. I'm sorry. I couldn't see it. Just stupid people keep blocking my way.
Bruh.
Anyway, I revived you.
Thanks, bro. Ain't no way.
I revived you after I killed you with a landmine, dude.
Wait.
Let's
Please be fake. Bleed, no! I don't have a locker. Wait, give me.
I'm dead. Come on, I died!
Same! Yo, we just gained a sub. Yo, thank you, bro.
Bro, seriously, bro. Bro, I couldn't get a locker and this stupid furry stole it, bro.
Pay attention to the lights.
Bro.
and you'll
Who
be
was it?
fine.
Oh my god, bro. Bro, why does it say E on the locker even though someone's already in there? That's buns.
Bro,
It says-
just after I revived you.
It says E on the locker, but oh, not safe, not safe.
Oh, 860, I think.
Yo, what? Yo, thank you for subscribing, bro.
It's 860.
Dang it, I did not get the best shot of this dude this time. Guys, 3 more subs and then we hit our sub goal. What do we do for the sub goal? You know, should we do the vault now since we both died?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's do the vault. Bro, I love when we do the vault, bro. It's so chaotic, bro. I'm going in.
Alright, let's go. Return to lobby.
Megalovania guy stole my locker. Shut up, brah! Shut up, stupid Lego. Oh my god, bro. How do I...
Bro, why am I not in your... Okay, I'm gonna join your server. Guys, I've hidden Pickled Jerry somewhere in Bread Sim. The game... Once the game is released, so you must find him for something special. Oh, really?
Bro, join in, bro.
Yeah, I'm going. I was reading chat. Okay, I'm joining.
No. I mean myself, bro. It was forever.
Wait, you're not in a server? Okay, I'm joining.
Wait, I'm waiting for you to join a server, bro. It takes forever now to join a server.
Okay, I joined a server. It says joining, bro.
Oh. I'm just kidding. Bro, I really hope your dad does not walk in while we're doing the vault, mate.
Bro, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Wait, wait, teleport me to the haunted already, bro. Bro, this stupid Megalovania guy stole my locker, bro. Get in. Bro, get in now! Get in! I'm just kidding. And also teleport me already, please. Please, bro.
Bro, I really hope...
Wait, are you in, bro? Are you in, bro? I'm not in yet. Wait.
Okay.
I'm still transporting. Okay, now then, hopefully.
I'ma hide my bag of chips in case my dad literally comes in and takes them. Nope. I know what he means by break your legs, but like, dude, I'm not breaking my legs.
Bro, move out the way, cheeseburger man.
Okay. Oh!
Bro, I was looking at him! How did I damage?
Ah! You see gaming. Chill.
Wait, Grant, needle! Take it from the ground.
Didn't you already find one?
I don't know. It probably wanted to get hit by the crooked. Ooh, get 360'd on me, get 360'd. The door's right there. Wait, I got some stuff to collect. Wait. Got it.
G'day, mate. Wait, where did
G'day, mate.
G'day, mate. Hide. Oh, okay, I'm in a locker.
Bro, why'd you steal it?
Bro, I didn't know you were going for it. Okay,
I'm just kidding.
goodbye,
No,
Tiger
I'm
the
just
Lion.
kidding.
Alright, have a good night, or a good day, or a good afternoon, whatever.
But you didn't steal anything, bro. I was joking, bro.
Yeah, he busts out of his locker.
Just like how I busted my hands on the wheel, mate.
And just like how I be busting those dance moves, yeah? Oh, I don't have dance moves, I'm kidding.
Oh my god, I just saw the crooked, bro.
Bro, busting your hands on the wheel, bro.
Bro, why is the crooked much taller than us, bro? Got him.
Did you ever...
Get off me! Stop dancing on me, bro!
Did you ever do this during the Hunt Mega Edition? No, I don't think so.
No, he did this after the hunt because apparently he was doing the rival. He was in his rival era apparently.
Oh yeah, I was grinding in Rivals. Bro, I looked at my old footage and I was so trash at Rivals, bro. I looked so noob.
Oxygen. Where's the crooked?
Okay, no, he's down there. I'm looking at him. Oh yeah, I did a 720 on him. Even though I was kind of far away from him, I still did a 720 on him. Oh
Bro,
yeah.
Lock the right crooked, bro. Lock
Uh-oh. Wait, I don't have a locker. Wait, no, never mind, I do.
Right here. Give me this.
My stream's buffering, what the hell? Never mind, it isn't.
Bro, I look at an old video of your old voice. Bro, you sound so different. What the heck?
Bro, that was only me last year, bro. Hey, you know puberty?
Oh,
Snipe!
yeah, I know.
Bro,
Go get the oxygen. Go.
I got it. Hey, yo, stop
Bro.
dancing on me! I always feel...
Mysterious!
I always feel like someone is breathing you. Wait, is this the door? Oh! Get off me, you fat! You're not so chill guy. Oh my god.
Bro, move out the way, crooked.
Hey yo, get off me, bro!
Oh!
You should have done the Untitled Tag Game Mega Token, that was epic.
Bro, I've already done it, bro. That was for... I'm gonna hit my llama. Oh my god. Wait, go up. The oxygen's right here.
Okay, I 360'd him. Ooh, I 180'd him.
Ooh. Bro, we're so close up this. Come on. Bro, bring it
Snipe.
on. Bring it on, mate. Get off me, mate. Stop dancing. Oh, there's oxygen, by the way. Oxygen right here.
Wait, where's the crooked? Oh, there he is. Open.
Okay, 10 more. Come
Wait,
on.
he's hiding.
He's hiding? Okay. Oh,
Wait.
I need a locker.
Wait, no, I don't have a locker. Please. Please. Wait, is he gone? Ain't no way that was a safe spot. Ain't no way. I had my arm.
God.
How was that a safe spot, bro? I had my arm peeking out of the thing. Wait, is Pipsqueak like Pandemonium where he tags your head instead of your body?
Pandemonium, yeah. Pandemonium.
Wait, there's one token right here. There we go. One more. Wait, where is he? Oh, there he is. Okay, one more.
I'm trying. Wait.
Uh-oh. 3 seconds. Uh-oh. No, I'm getting beaten. Get it. Come on. I'm getting beaten. Yes. Oh my god, that was such a clutch, bro. We had like not enough time left.
Yeah, we had not enough time until the witching hour got super close.
Bro, ain't no way, bro. They give us like 5 minutes, right?
No, 6 minutes actually.
Oh, okay, so we still had like a minute left, but oh my god.
But it depends on when you open the first duel, basically. If you don't collect the token now.
I'm on 60 HP.
But you need on the desk right there. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I see that.
Oh, you can end your stream now. Actually, no.
We got 3 minutes. Yeah, I'll end the stream
what should
now.
we do for these last 20 minutes? Should we do another round? I don't know.
No, we only got 3 minutes. And the extra loading time will take like 2 minutes, or 1 minute actually. Bro, why does the vault look so cool though? Look how cool this looks.
Bro, because I don't know, Goofy.
Let me through.
Bro, you didn't even get a win you didn't even get a win throughout this.
When stream ending, we're ending stream in like 3 minutes, or probably now. But like,
bro, why can't I hear like weird mumblings in the background? What the heck?
okay, can I? I'll take your hand.
Don't, bro, don't! No, you crashed my computer. You dingus! You crashed my computer.
No, it's not me. No, see that your computer's bad. Oh,
what do you mean? No, you crashed my computer, Why? Yo, please last 2 minutes, bro.
John Smithing Table sent me a request. Yay, John Smithing Table. Bro, Hiram's playing Rivals right now. Yay. Alright, we still have 3 subs away from the sub goal. I'll find a way to get there tonight, you know. Thank you guys for watching.
You could probably end stream now.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, bro. Thank you guys for watching. Goofies and
Goofies. I said it, dude.
bye.
Bro, what?